This is a pick of mine that, quite frankly, is just one of those things that you put on and you're like, is it me or do I feel dainty? Is it me or do I have an extra skip in my step? There's a couple of things going on with this next piece. It's actually brushed.
Hacci.
Hacci. It's brushed Hacci. It's a peplum with like a little bit of frill, but then you've got the cowl neck, you've got the sporty ties, and it's just one of those pieces that it's like, you're going to look like you're just skipping and trotting through life in the most happy way possible when actually it could be the slowest paced walk of your life.
I love that.
But I think that's the kind of personality that you get out of this top. It's $45.48. Remember, 4 easy payments on all sleepwear and loungewear. Our first color that you're seeing here is going to be your heather gray. And I love that you get like the dark sprinkles in the Hacci print of like the darker charcoals and blacks.
Yeah. Makes it look a little elevated.
And I think part of the charm of this is the fact that it's not a flat color.
Correct.
Then we have it for you in smoky taupe.
So that's like
She's
black
perfect.
heathering, really pretty.
Next up, we have it for you in your deep mauve.
And even notice, like, just to point out, the rose gold caps on the drawstring. So like these little touches, I just love them.
Sweet. One moment. Then we have it for you in, wait for it.
The pine.
Pine, silver pine. And that's one of those things that I feel like it just almost looks frosted. Like it's the pine that starts to come back to life the day before spring.
Yes, I would. That's a really good way to describe it.
Because usually there's like an ice storm.
Right, of course. Through April, right.
Yes. And then last but not least, we have your stone blue.
I love this one.
Which I will say, if you're somebody that loves like the chambray textures, you love denim shirts, like this is just your option now in loungewear, which is really great. The fabric on this is a little bit lighter, so you can kind of see how there's this bounce to it. It's rayon with polyester and spandex, and the majority of it is over 80% rayon, which is how you're going to get that really silky texture. It is semi-fitted, which is great, especially when it comes right here when you can kind of see a little bit of the frill going on. And then of course, machine wash, tumble dry, as a lot of their pieces are.
Yeah.
But this is just that piece that I'm telling you, you just throw it on and you feel so sweet.
You do. It's a very feminine way to do a cowl neck top. First of all, I just want to point out, when you hear peplum, I don't want you to think it's one of those peplums that kind of start at the hip and shoot out. It's just kind of like a tastefully done. It's almost that little bit of like a ruffle seam that does give you, you know, some, I would say it's generous around the hips, but it's not anything that's going to add bulk. Where it hits is actually really, really flattering. And the fact that we did it in our Hacci, I think, is why it drapes so nice, because it's so rich in rayon that you can like almost puddle it in your hand. It's so drapey, it's so soft, which means that cowl neck is not going to be fussy. You know, sometimes with a cowl neck, you have all this fabric and you're not really sure how to manipulate it.
Absolutely.
This one, when you put it on, it just falls so beautifully because of that brushed Hacci, which honestly feels like a cottony cashmere.
Well, and the other nice thing about the slight peplum is you really are going to throw it on and you'll be like, yeah, that's where my waist is.
Right.
I knew it.
There it is.
Yeah, and I think that's great because I think a lot of us have very different body shapes, or depending on the top that you're wearing, you feel like that need to be like, okay, well, where is my waist? Where is that part that I want to define? And this defines it for you without the confinement, which I think is such a great time to invest in a piece like this. I also think being able to have that cowl neck in there, the way that you talk about that it lays perfectly. I mean, this is like another one that you could do like a little off the shoulder moment. You could pull it back a little more if you wanted to, especially if like the weather was a little chilly, or you could wear it as like Ashley and Pam have, and then just like at its full potential.
Yeah.
So really nice to be able to play around with that. And then again, this fabric.
It's so incredibly soft. And the beauty of our Hacci, like I said, it does feel like a brushed cottony cashmere. It's actually an open loop knit. And so what that means is, you can see right there, it's very breathable and super, super stretchy, but it's not heavy. This is not a fabric where I want you to think, you know, I don't want you to think you're going to overheat in it. It's not a sweatshirt or a fleece. See right there, the gauge on this is so nice. So I wear my Hacci 4 seasons out of the year. In the winter, I might want to put a tank top under it, but in the spring, it's totally a standalone, this fabrication.
This is going to be our stone blue, and that's going to be our most popular colorway. So here you can kind of see just the little detail that marks your waist, which is so nice. Next up, we have it for you in your heather gray. That's followed by your smoky taupe. Here's your deep mauve, and then we also have it for you in silver pine, which is like a a springtime pine, if you will.
Yes.
The other thing that I'll say about this top, especially if you're just thinking about, okay, well, like, why do I want to bring it home?
Yeah.
When you touch the rayon fabric and you go into department stores and you touch a very basic top that might be a crew neck, but it also might be long sleeves, it's got this texture. And it also has 3 figures attached to it.
Correct.
But why not? Because when something feels that good and it becomes that much of an essential, you'll justify it anyways to finally get pieces in your wardrobe that work for the everyday. This to me is just taking that luxury fabric and adding the fashion back to it.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, because gone are the days where you feel like, oh, something can feel really good, but it's not going to complement my body. That's what this brand is all about, marrying these luscious, great fabrications in a way that fits a woman's body properly.
Shocking.
Yeah.
It's 2020.
I don't know why it's so hard to find it, but when you do, you stock up. You stock up.
You're like, guys, is it just me or are you seeing this too? And the nice thing about this is, like, if you go and check out the reviews on QVC.com, like, I think sometimes the first question that you always ask with anything that may have a peplum is like, what's the bottom situation going to be like? Is it only going to be a skinny leg pant? Is it only going to be maybe a skirt occasionally?
Right.
Am I only going to wear it one day? And I think the nice thing about this is women on QVC.com are wearing it with their boot cut denim, but they're also wearing it with their leggings, because the length on this is 26.5 to 30 3/4, depending on what size you get. So you still kind of have great coverage around your backside, but it's not overwhelming if you go from a boot cut to a flare to a legging and anywhere in between.
Yeah, it's very, like you said, very easy to style. It's all because of how we've done that, which I don't even want to say. It's not a peplum. It's just a cute little seam detail that just happens.
Detail.
Yes, it just happens to give you extra room at the bottom.
It's as you go with your tiny little waist, Glen Coco. Here is your stone blue. Next up, we have it for you in heather gray. Here is smoky taupe. Then we have it for you in your deep mauve. And then we also have it for you in your silver pine. It is a 372137. QVC.com to place your order for this. And also another great transitional piece, especially as like the weather starts getting slightly warmer.
Yes, we can only hope.
Yes.